Welcome back, Space Cowboys. Today we're going to be talking about gay Star Wars. Let's talk about Love-Bheits. One of the episodes in Season 2, it took me a little while to warm up to, but by my about 6 or 7 times, I really started to fall in love with it. And that might be true for quite a lot of the episodes. It turns out if you watch something a lot, you kind of fall in love with it. The episode's a Star Wars parody. I love Star Wars, and I'm surprised I didn't just fall in love with it straight away. God, I made a whole video dedicated to all the Star Wars references in the show, which you should be able to click the link here, one side. So let me know what your favourite references the Venture Bros ever made is, and put them in the comment below. And let's jump into this. We see the Venture family returning from a cosplay convention.
We didn't take best group costume, mister.
Costume contest, all dressed in Star Wars outfits. Leia, Chewbacca, Obi-Wan, and the Bat.
Last year it was Dorothy, the Scarecrow, the Cowardly Lion, and the Bat.
Obi-Wan seems like a really weird choice because it's Slave Leia and Chewbacca who are both Episode 6, and Obi-Wan is dead by then. Really, Doc should have been a Han Solo or a Luke Skywalker, but I'm not going to argue with Doc Venture over what he wants to dress up as. And it's one of my favourite bits that they can never convince Hank to dress up as anything other than the Bat. We know it's true for at least 2 years, probably longer.
And how about the time we were the hard-rocking quartet of Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, Ace Frehley, and the Bat?
Complete obsession that, may have left him by the end of this series after the movie, but probably not. He loves the Batman. Baron von Underbite, one of Doc's earliest arch nemesis, is back from his college days, where Doc blew his jaw off, which he's had to replace with a horrible metal replacement. He launches the Mega Magnet to try and take down the X-1.
Fire up the atomic super magnet!
As he crosses into Underland to save on jet fuel, because it's expensive.
We're about to pass over Underland. I'm gonna go around.
What am I, made of experimental supersonic jet fuel? It's shorter this way.
The Death Star fires its laser and the X-1 goes...
Joey, lock down auxiliary power!
And this is primarily due to a lack of auxiliary power.
I told you to lock down...
We don't have auxiliary power!
His ship goes down, the escape pod launches, and the Adventure family are captured by the forces of Underland. Baron von Underbite is doing his best Darth Vader impression as he walks to meet his new captured prisoners and orders them into the Underland prisons, or pantry, because Underland doesn't actually have prisons.
We don't have holding cells, your thoughtfulness.
No, hold it! Fine, then put them in the pantry.
Because every crime is punishable by death, which saves him some money and is the plot of a TNG episode with Wesley Crusher. Except Dean. Dean, clad in his impressive Leia outfit, is mistaken for a girl and taken to be the Baron's new bride. Maybe it's Dean's good looks, or maybe it's the fact that he's got his father's ass.
Leave that one. Meet me.
As the rest of the Venture family is escorted away, Brock hands Doc a cyanide tooth.
Not yet. We still have a chance. Don't take all of it.
And he seems very eager to use this, which is probably a bit of a problem. He does have dependents. He's not even been tortured yet. Dean shares dinner with the Baron after thinking he's going to be eaten.
We'll make a most exquisite dinner. Guest.
Very Cloud City, as the Baron talks about his old wives.
I've been married several times before. 7, in fact. They resisted at first too, but they came around, as you will.
Hank puts his game face on. He's all ready to rescue his brother. The soul of the Bat flows through him, and he is preparing for war.
You're right, Brock. This is just what he wants. For us to turn on each other. And I played right into their hands.
As Dean becomes Dawn.
And your daughter, Dawn. Execution to follow.
I have a sister? Named Dawn?
He realizes he's up for the same fate as the rest of these wives. But Underland resistance is there and able to rescue the prisoners from the pantry.
This is a rescue. Come, follow me.
Hank initially mistakes the resistance for the Wallflower, a Batman villain, but doesn't look like anything like the one from the Batman comics. because I think she's just a random woman with invisibility powers and wears a black catsuit. We see the Baron's creepy bedroom and poor Magic 8-Ball tied up to the wall.
Will this marriage be a success or not? Oh, why do you torture me so?
He must have survived episode 1. We also know that Star Wars is like a real canon thing in the Venture Bros that people have seen, and he just has the Darth Vader chamber. So he must have just paid loads of money to have all of this custom built like a massive nerd. As for Magic 8-Ball, he may actually have one of the strongest powers we've seen in the show. He seems to be genuinely able to see the future. Obviously only able to relay it in a weird cryptic way. More useful than a lot of powers we see in the show. You know, like brick being and frog throwing. I mean, we witness the Resistance planning their next attack. All bottom tier pranks.
Center of the underground, gentlemen. From here we launch a relentless campaign of sabotage, subterfuge, and psychological warfare.
Stuff that you wouldn't even watch on YouTube nowadays. Dean is getting ready for his big day, his wedding day. 2 eunuchs start to get him all prepared.
Honey, what are you conditioning with? Kerosene?
Hey! Oh, touchy.
Until they find out his big secret. Fortunately, Dean's one of the girls, so they don't rat him out to the Baron. They start to set to work to get Dawn ready for the wedding day.
You're really not gonna tell on me?
Of course not. Us girls have to stick together, right?
And Dean has got a massive pair of buns on him, ready for the day. We're reintroduced to Girl Hitler!
We planted a cat hair in the Baron's water glass.
Who we haven't seen since season 1. What, she was in the 3rd episode of season 1, and it's been over a series and a half. And we thought she was dead, but she's a brilliant character, and we're kind of glad to have her back, I think. Brock doesn't stay around with the Resistance for very long, realising he's probably better off without them. He pushes past their fearless leader, Catclops, with minimal effort.
Yeah, okay, you go ahead.
Minimal resistance, and Dean gets ready as Princess Leia from episode 4. Baron Underbite must have seen these films and know what he's doing. Maybe he is just a creepy weirdo who wanted to do a Star Wars cosplay wedding thing.
How do I look?
But nobody decides to rat out Dean. The eunuchs want revenge for the Baron taking their testicles. And honestly, I can kind of understand. I think I'd want revenge after that. We got one of my favourite jokes from the whole episode, and that's the guard sticking his tongue through the slit in the mask after Hank has been doing it pretty repetitively throughout the episode.
Ugh, I can't stop poking the little slits with my tongue. It's maddening.
As the Venture family get ready for their stealth approach, Doc fucks it up.
Ow! So much for the element of surprise.
This one's not really his fault. Could you imagine unscrewing a lit, hot light bulb? That would be burning the skin off your fingers. Brock is just badass enough to do it all on his own, and then he takes out the entire squad of guards on his own. Barely any effort, no weapons, just one guy left.
Brock, questioning?
That's the one.
And probably one of the best jokes of the entire show, as Brock goes to torture him. And what would you do as you're squeezing his balls harder and harder and harder? You stop, you feel a lump. What on earth do you do? There is no situation more awkward than that.
Hard Hank like this.
Nothing compared to what's the master. Run!
I don't know how to tell you this, but I feel a lump.
Yeah, even squeezing man's testicles to torture him is weird enough. Finding a lump is very worrying. Hank goes for a little bit of payback after being captured, not realising quite what's gone on in this situation.
Hank! Well, I didn't get to do anything!
Poor Hank. I guess Doc's not explained to him about the big C yet. As Dean starts to walk down the aisle, countdown begins. Team Venture is running down the castle to try to stop the wedding. The most painful looking wedding ring I've ever seen goes onto Dean's fingers. Brock and Doc are captured, and Hank is forced to go it alone.
Damn it, what now?
I know I was mixed up before, but now I'm groovy. I'm going ahead with the mission.
Everyone tries their best to maybe make Hank not go on his own. Hank doesn't listen because he's Hank. Hank invokes the power of the gay gene. Something that Doc spent a concerning amount of time trying to eradicate. I mean, what would Shoreleave and Al think if Doc ever told them this?
You once spent weeks in your lab, all alone without sleep or food, trying desperately to isolate the gay gene. And I know you. If it wasn't for all the protesters and the hearings, you would have found it and destroyed it.
And I think Doc's evolved above this now, with at least two maybe friends in Al and Shoreleave. So, ignoring the fact that Doc Venture tried to eradicate all gayness from existence, Doc almost believes in Hank, as Hank charges on ahead, solo mission.
Hey, maybe he'll surprise us. He does get that kind of retard strength when he's all worked up.
Which doesn't go very well, as we hear shortly after. Doc is once again trying to kill himself with the cyanide tooth, as the doors open to the wedding.
Dr. Venture.
They are too late. The marriage has happened. Hank is lying in a pool of his own blood because guess what? His tongue got caught in the slip.
You okay, Hank?
Cut my tongue on my mask.
The big reveal. Hank tells everybody that Dean is not in fact a girl. He's a boy. He's never been a woman. He's a boy science adventurer, like his father before him. Another great Star Wars line.
Not a woman! I'm a boy science adventurer! Like my father before me.
Get through those.
Another twist. Catclops comes in and reports that this is all illegal.
I demand that you arrest Baron Underbite. Same-sex marriage is illegal under underlaw. Underbite.
In underlaw. So they arrest Underbite. Underage marriage, fine. Gay marriage, completely illegal. Don't worry, interesting rules. New leadership is very much needed. Brock takes out Underbite as he is taking off the entire resistance on his own with a single throw because he's a mega badass.
You've been paid!
And Girl Hitler! And Catclops get married. And, you know, a beautiful ending to a beautiful episode.
It's a girl, and you get the Hitler!
Marry me.
The Ventures get back to the X1, which has crashed through the border of Underland into Michigan.
Welcome to Michigan, Agent Sampson.
Geography in the Venge Bros is very interesting. Underland is somehow in the US and maybe one of the US states, or a separate country within the US states. Bizarre. And I don't know, is Underland able to defend against the US or not able to avoid them? Come on, OSI, you should be able to deal with a problem like this. And literal volcanoes going off in the background?
Ah, thanks.
So maybe there's different tectonic states in the Venge Bros universe than what we have in the real world. Maybe supervillains have caused all of these problems. Everyone is awarded with Underland's highest honor, the Best Costume Award.
It is the highest honor Underland can bestow upon an Outlander.
Which is a nice reward after what they've been through. New leadership has been chosen. Girl Hitler. After Catclops competed against her, Girl Hitler took the #1 spot. And it's very progressive to have both a girl and a Hitler as your leader.
We even picked our president.
Listen, I'm flattered.
Girl Hitler!
Oh, a girl president? How progressive!
And a Hitler!
Underbite goes to live with the Monarch for a while, but that clearly doesn't live long because the next time we see Underbite, he is homeless and on the street.
Hi. Could I maybe crash here for a little bit?
I just love this episode. I've fallen in love with it over the years. The way the Venture Bros does parody is amazing. But it's clearly Star Wars, but telling its own story. Prison Break, Resistance, Passion even when the odds are against us. It's probably better than The Force Awakens. And Brock is basically the Force incarnate. I'll catch you on the flip. Let me know what you thought about this episode.